Okay, we're going to do what I consider to be my standard ski waxing job today, which will consist in a layer of hot scraping wax. We're going to use this Hertel's hot sauce here. Good wax, straight hydrocarbon, been around for a very long time. You get this nice chunk here. This is an American wax. It's so American that you buy it in ounces instead of grams. Okay, then for skiing, we're going to use this Hertel FC 739, which is a low fluoro wax. Now I'm headed up to Vermont this weekend with a possibility of rain. There's definitely going to be moisture in the snow. This low fluoro wax performs extremely well in conditions of humidity and moisture. And I think that's what we're going to have this weekend. So this should be a good combo. I'm going to use a regular wax iron. This is fairly new to me. The advantage of this iron to a steam iron is mostly greater temperature consistency. And there's a pretty large plate here. You know, it's a thick metal plate on the bottom that just holds the heat better. So you get a more consistent temperature from moment to moment with this kind of an iron. Also, I changed into my waxing shirt because you do tend to get wax on your clothes when you do this. The first step is going to be brushing with this brass brush. I'd call it a soft to a medium brass brush. So you'll see part of this at least. The idea is to scrape away old wax, get into the pores of the ski, bring up dirt, contaminants, oil from the snow guns, etc., etc. I'm going pretty much from tip to tail. It brings up a little layer of stuff here. I don't know if it shows up on the camera or not. So I'm taking essentially 3 passes at this point. Then I'm going to brush this stuff off. Maybe you can see this stuff. Then we're going to be ready for waxing. You probably see this little indicator light on the iron here. It's red now. It'll go to green over here when it's ready. It doesn't take very long. Aha. Aha. Ooh. It also gets hot, of course, as it goes green. So there you can see the green light pretty conclusively. All right. I usually hold the iron in my right hand. I'm going to do this so that at least at the start of it here, you can see it on the screen. I take this chunk of wax, a big block of wax, put it right up to the iron, press it against it, and it starts melting off. Then I kind of jiggle the iron to get a little bit of width to the wax. Normally I'm going to start at the tip and go to the tail, but for this video I started in the middle. That's not going to be a difference one way or the other. I'm liberal with the wax at this point. I have the concept, which I learned a long time ago, that the ski should be swimming in the wax. Now again, this is the hot scrape layer of wax rather than the skiing wax. The skiing wax I'm going to handle a little bit differently. Alright, once it's dribbled onto the base, you put down the iron, and you got to keep the iron moving, and you melt that wax. And hopefully it melts into the pores of the skis. Okay, now one thing I might have done is to put tape along the sides of the skis to keep this wax off my bindings. I may end up with a little bit of wax on the bindings, which I'll have to rub off somehow. And after I've got molten wax over the whole base of the ski, now I'm using a temperature of 120°C on this iron, which is a little bit above Hertel's recommendations. The wax boxes normally have an iron temperature on them. Okay, now something you don't see here. The tip of this ski is convex, and I'm having to do it in like two sides. Not convex, concave. So the iron doesn't sit flat as easily. Okay, so now I've had molten wax sitting over the whole base of the ski. So now I'm going to heat it up the whole way along the ski. And having the ski a little bit warm is a fundamental part of this operation. Okay. The ski has the wax on and it's heated up. I'm going to wait not very long. Maybe till now. I don't know if you can see it, but the ski or the wax has solidified actually pretty much in the middle here, but on the ends it's still a little bit molten. Well, there's still a little bit of the molten wax. I'm going to scrape it off. For this step, I'm using an old scraper, which is kind of rounded off and not necessarily so sharp. And this angle that I'm holding at here is due to information from Mr. Hertel in a video I saw online. I'm going to take a second pass here. And with your thumbs and fingers, whatever, you keep as even a pressure as possible the whole way across the ski. Okay, I'm good with that. Now it's on to this brass brush. I'm going to take a couple passes with the brass brush again to kind of stir it up like more in the pores of the ski. Okay, now the ski is warm. It's warm to the touch. You can use either the fiberline sheet, which I was using before, or you can use a scraper to clean off all this wax dust. Alright, now, this is the FC 739 wax. This is a skiing wax. I'm going to be a little bit more careful with it. It's more expensive. Okay, I'm crayoning it on, is what they call this operation. I'm going across the grain of the ski This is another tip from Mr. Hertel, because that structure that's built into the ski helps scrape off the wax. Now what happens is you hit the center of the ski pretty well, you don't get the edges so well. Okay, now to get the edges, I simply go along the edges. Takes a little bit of elbow grease. And again, to some extent, I'm trying to save the wax. This wax probably costs 3 times as much as the hot scrape wax. But in terms of overall cost, I use at least twice as much of the cheaper wax so that the wax cost is probably closer to constant between the two waxes. Or not constant, but equal. Alright, once I have that wax crayoned on there pretty well, I'm still going to add a little bit extra. Okay, now when I'm adding this extra here, I'm not putting anywhere near as much on as I did with the scrape wax. You can still see droplets over the whole base. Okay, I think I'm good with that. Alright, again, I'm just going to iron that in now. I can hear the iron clicking as it goes on and off depending on whether it dips above or below what its thermostat tells it to do. So I'm gonna, you got to keep the iron moving. Don't let yourself get distracted. Now, I've never burned the base of a ski, but I have talked to people who have done it. Okay, now this is a modern sintered base ski, and the sintered bases really do absorb the wax. Those of us in our ski group, picture Randy at the dining room table. So I get this heated up pretty well, molten over the whole base of the ski. And then I'm going to take a step, which you don't see that much. This is a sheet of fiberline, a new sheet of fiberline. I put it down under the iron. And I come back. I take a very slow pass, and as this thing goes by, you might see the fiberline gradually picks up extra wax. And so I pull it off the end of the ski. There's usually a little bit of extra wax back there. I scrape that off while it's still warm. And that's pretty much it for this step. Now this ski has to cool. Okay, with this wax, which is, I would say, is a slightly harder wax. You're supposed to wait at least 2 hours before scraping. I may even let it go overnight and come back and finish it up tomorrow. We'll see. This will be the last step here. Scraping and brushing. Okay, we'll use a little bit of the brass brush here. Not a lot. I kind of like this coarse nylon brush. It's a Home Depot, like grill cleaning brush or something. And then this is a horsehair brush. But first, the scraping. Now something we forgot to do on the last step is scrape the corners or the edges of the ski. You use this little notch here in the scraper to clean the ski from the sidewall or from the edge. This would have been easier had it been done when the ski was, when the wax was still soft. Yeah, the notch actually in that one scraper was a little large. This notch here works better. All right. That's clean. Now we use the scraper. Again, I'm going to hold it at Mr. Hertel's angle here. Now what his reasoning is simply that, and you can see there's not very much wax that you get off of that, you know, because we took most of it off with that fiberline sheet. Anyway, Mr. Hertel's reasoning was you scrape off what you should, but the rest of it you shove back into the ski. So just the 2 swipes there and that's it. Alright, I'm working on the end of the ski a little bit. There's always a little bit of clumping of wax on the end of the ski. And that's up to the brushing step then. Very light. With the brass brush here. A couple swipes. Onto this onto the nylon, coarse nylon brush. Okay, now with this brush here, you can go either way, or at least I do. So I brush that pretty well. Now what this step does is make it so the ski's going to be fast right away. You don't have to wait till later in the day or anything like that. Horsehair brush here. Just pass over it. Alright, as soon as you get on the snow, it's going to be fast. Out of the gate, the first turn, the first run in the lift line. Right off the bat. Alright. This is a wax job that should work great this weekend. See you later.